Hi, Project Sunshine. I'm Isabelle Furhman, and I'm going to read you guys one of my favorite books called If I Ran the Circus by Dr. Seuss. If I ran the circus. In all the whole town, the most wonderful spot was behind Sneelock's store in the big vacant lot. It's just the right spot for my wonderful plans, said young Morris McGurk. If I clean up the cans. There's Sneelock's store, and there's the cans. Now, a fellow like me, said young Morris McGurk, could get rid of this junk in a half-hour's work. I could yank up those weeds and chop down that dead tree and haul off those old cars, not just 2 or 3. And then the whole place would be ready, you see? All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think I will call it the Circus McGurkus. The Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show on the face of the earth or wherever you go. The Circus McGurkus, the cream of the cream, the Circus McGurkus, the Circus Supreme, the Circus McGurkus, colossal, stupendous, outstanding, fantastic, terrific, tremendous. I'll bring in my acrobats, jugglers, and clowns from 1,033 faraway towns to the place that you'll see 'em in, ladies and gents, right behind Sneelock's store in the great McGurk tents. And I don't suppose old Sneelock will mind when he suddenly has a big circus behind. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends. He might even help out, doing small odds and ends. Doing little odd jobs he could be of some aid, such as selling balloons and the pink lemonade. I think 500 gallons will be about right, and then I'll be ready for opening night. There he is. There's Sneelock with all the lemonade. What an opening night. What a night, what a sight. I'll hoist up the curtains, the crowds will crowd in, and my Circus McGurkus will promptly begin. With a welcoming toot on my welcoming horn and my horn-tooting apes from the jungles of Jorn, where the very best horn-tooting apes are all born, 'cause the very fresh air there is fine for their lungs, and some of those fellows have 2 or 3 tongues. These are the apes of Jorn, 2 or 3 tongues. This way, step right in. This way, ladies and gents. My sideshow starts here in the first of my tents. When you see what goes on, you'll say no other circus is half the great Circus McGurkus is. Here on stage 1 from the ocean of Ulf is a sight most amazing, a walrus named Rolf, who can stand on 1 whisker, this wonderful Rolf, on the top of 5 balls, 2 for tennis, 3 for golf. It's a marvelous trick, if I say so myself. And there's Rolf. There's his 1 whisker. And on stage number 2, here's something quite new. From a country called Frum comes this drum-tummied schnum who can drum any tune that you might care to hum. Doesn't hurt him a bit, 'cause his drum tummy's numb. And now you'll meet the Foon, the remarkable Foon who eats sizzling hot pebbles that fall off the moon. And the reason he likes them red hot, it appears, is he greatly enjoys blowing smoke from his ears. Of course, pebbles like this are quite hard to collect, but Sneelock will manage. Somehow, I expect. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends, and I'm sure he'll help out doing small odds and ends. And on stage number 4, see the Willy Willoo, who can throw his long tail as a sort of lasso. With a flip of a hip and a tail of this kind, he can capture whoever is standing behind. He can capture old Sneelock. I'm sure he won't mind. And now, here's a hoodwink, who winks in his wink hood. Without a good wink hood, a hoodwink can't wink good. And folks, let me tell you, there's only one circus with wink-hooded hoodwinks, the Circus McGurkus. The show of all shows. There's no other showman who shows you a show with a blindfolded bowman. The blindfolded bowman from Bigger Beirut, the world's sharpest sharpshooter, look at him shoot through the holes in 4 donuts, 2 hairs on a worm, and the knees of 3 birds without making them squirm, and then on through a crab apple up on the head of Sneelock, who likes to help out, as I have said. And now, come to this spot, where the spotlight is hot. And you'll see in the spotlight a juggling jot, who can juggle some stuff you might think he could not, such as 22 question marks, which is a lot. Also 44 commas, and also 1 dot. That's the kind of a Circus McGurkus that I've got. And that's just my sideshow, a start, a beginning. This way to the big tent, you'll find your head spinning. Why, ladies and gentlemen, youngsters and oldsters, your heads will quite likely spin right off your shoulders, so hurry up. Step lively quick, ladies and gents, and get in to your seats in my tent of all tents. My parade of parades is about to commence. You'll see Drum Major Sneelock fling-flang his balloon, and my organ McGorgon McGurkus come on with its hot steaming pipes of gold brass-plated tin, sorting all sorts of snorts in a bumbling din that is super stupendous, stupendous, sturorous. And when I play Dixie, please join the chorus. I like the pictures in this book, and I like Sneelock. He's my favorite. Then, a fluff-muffled truffle will ride on a huffle. And next in line, a fine flummox will shuffle. The flummox will carry a lurch in a pail, and a fibble will carry the flummox's tail, while on top of the flummox, 3 harp-twanging snarp will twang mighty twangs on their 3-snarper harp, while a bolster blows bloops on a 3-nozzled blueser, a nulster blows floops on a 1-nozzled newser, and then comes a lion, who's partly a trout. Then more stuff, for 45 minutes about. You guys see the lion that's also a trout? They're all carrying his tail. And then behind them, then, while everyone stares, come my to and fro marchers, who march in 5 layers. The froes march on toes, and the toes march on froes. Don't know how they do it, but that's how it goes. And now comes an act of enormous. No former performers performed this performance. This stunt is too gripping, slippingly frightening. Down from the top of my tent like greased lightning, through pots full of lots of big sticklebush trees slides a man. What a man! On his roller skate skis. He'll steer without fear, and you'll know him at glance that it's Sneelock, the man who takes chance after chance, and he won't even rip a small hole in his pants. It seems like Sneelock's doing a lot of work. And now here, in this cage, is a beast most ferocious, who's known far and wide as the spotted atrocious, who growls and yowls and howls the most blood-curdling sounds, and each tooth in his mouth weighs at least 60 pounds. He chews up and eats with the greatest of ease things like carpet, sidewalks, and people and trees. The great Colonel Sneelock is just the right kind who can tame him. I'm sure he won't mind. Then I'll let Sneelock off for a few minutes' rest. While high over your heads, you'll see the best of the world's finest, fanciest, breezy, trapezing, my Zoopo-Zoop troupe from the West Upper Bendizing, who never quite know while they zoop and they zoom which will catch one, or who will catch whom, or if who will catch which by what and just where, or just when and just how and in which part of the air. Look at that. I'm glad Sneelock's not doing that. Hey, what a circus! My Circus McGurkus, my workers will love work. They say, work us, please work us. We'll work and we'll work up so many surprises you'll never see half if you've had 40 eyes. I think I'm supposed to say Ises. We'll work and we'll work up so many surprises that you'd never see half of it if you had 40 Ises. And now, again, Sneelock. Brave Sneelock is back, risking his life on my patented life-risking track, while the speedsters I call colliding collisions race around in swift cars called abrasion contusions, and Sneelock just lies there, not one bit excited. I know he won't mind. He'll be simply delighted. That's Sneelock. And here, in a contest of brute strength and muscle, Kid Sneelock, my champ of all champs, will now tussle and wrestle a beast called a grizzly ghastly and slap him around, and then he'll slam him down fastly and pin both of his shoulders tight flat to the mat. Kid Sneelock will love it, I'm sure about that. There's Sneelock, is the grizzly ghastly. And while that goes on there, look at this go on here. Have you heard of my through horns jumping deer? Every deer jumps through the horns of another pell-mell, while his horns are jumped through the same time as well, by a deer whose horns also are being jumped through too, by another who's having his horns jumped through too, which I'm sure Trainer Sneelock can train them to do. Sneelock. The whole tent will ring and hooray and wild shouts when I wheel in my whales and they turn on their spouts. First, my whale number 1, with an aim that aims true, spouts a spout that spouts Sneelock to whale number 2. And then whale number 2 spouts a spout like a gun, and that super spout spouts old Sneelock right back to whale 1. And then forwards and backwards on spout after spout, my great spout rider Sneelock gets spouted about just as long as the water they're spouting holds out. And there's Sneelock, getting spouted. Then my tournament knights, noble apes without fears, Sir Hector, Sir Vector, Sir Bops, and Sir Beers, Sir Hawkins, Sir Dawkins, Sir Jocks, and Sir Jeers, clatter into the tent, and while everyone cheers, stage a roustabout joust with their boxing glove spears. And while all this ruckusing goes on below, at top of the tent, look, the star of my show, great daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. He comes pulled through the air by 3 Subrian snipe on a dingus contraption attached to his pipe, and while people below are turning chalk white and all biting their fingernails off in their fright, great Sneelock soars up to a terrible height. And then he shakes himself loose. He starts down in a dive, such as no man on earth could ever come out of alive, but he smiles as he falls, and no fear does he feel. His nerves are like iron, his muscles are like steel, and then he plunges down, 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 with his hair still combed neat, 4,692 feet. Then he'll land in a fishbowl. He'll manage just fine. Don't ask me how he'll manage. That's his job, not mine. Why, he'll be a hero. Of course he won't mind when he finds out that he has that big circus behind. Doesn't Sneelock look a little scared? Thank you so much for joining me while I read If I Ran the Circus by Dr. Seuss. Thank you so much.